Hey everybody, it's Patty. Welcome to the Witching Hour. We have a beautiful show for you today. We're going to get a little spooky since we're getting into season. I want you to meet. She's a beautiful girl. She is an author. She's a paranormal investigator. The one and only Nicole Beauchamp. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me, Patty. I'm
Thank
so
you so
excited to
much
be
for.
talking to you.
It is great. I've got your new book here, Haunted French Quarter Hotels. I spend a lot of time in New Orleans, one of my favorite places on the entire planet, and I do know how haunted it is there. So, for so how did this come about? Are you like a travel person or
That's a really good question. I do travel quite frequently, but I actually wound up in New Orleans because my dad helped out with the Hurricane Katrina relief efforts.
oh,
So he was stationed down at the Superdome and he was passing out like water bottles to residents and things like that. But unfortunately, he had a very traumatic experience as well because he had passed out the last water bottles to people, and people were coming up to him with babies and children, and the babies and children
mm,
were dying, and he didn't have anything left to give. So, his first experience to the city was extremely painful. And then, at that time, I was a teenager. So, of course, I've always had a lot of empathy. I felt really sad and very heartbroken for everything going on. But I just could not fathom because I had never been through a hurricane before, having been from Michigan. So, I think it was about almost 5 years. And then he decided to take my mother and I down there and show us the city, and I just fell in love with it instantly and continued going back for years and years and years. Gained a lot of friends down there. My fiance is from New Orleans. So New Orleans has just become a big part of my life, I guess, ever since the first time I went there.
that's good. Well, you're really gifted. I could tell that even from your right. You're gifted, your psychic abilities, or you wouldn't even do this business. What inspired you to go into paranormal investigation on this?
So I have always had paranormal experiences, even as a child. And I guess I could see or hear things maybe that were not there, but not. It sounds weird when I say it, and I don't mean to say it in a way like I have some sort of disorder or something like that, but I just mean, I guess very much like you, like the supernatural side, I'm just very drawn to it.
Yeah.
So when I was a child, I remember being maybe 6 or 7. I was laying in my bed and I heard a man whisper my name into my ear. And then ever since then, I've just had other experiences like that when I've gone into other haunted locations and, had experiences with seeing full bodied apparitions or things like that, but I've never really tapped into it much further, but it's just been a lifelong, I guess, interest because I've had the ability to see things maybe or hear things that other people can't.
Yeah. So, do you think of New Orleans as one of the more haunted places that you've been? Because I know you've done books in other places. Do you feel the difference here or there?
Yes, this book was the one I wanted to write first. And I'm so thankful and privileged that I was able to even write it at all because with not being from there, there's a lot of hurdles in place. But I feel like this city is one of the most haunted out of every city that I've probably been to, and I felt that there was definitely enough content to fill a book.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just got it and it's great. So, what's some of your favorite haunts or hotels, haunted hotels? Since again, we are almost into
Mhm.
October. This is where we start into official spooky Halloween Samhain season. Tell me a little bit about the Bourbon Orleans.
So the Bourbon Orleans Hotel was the first hotel that I actually stayed at when I went to the city. And it's got a very, very long past as to what it had been. I don't want to kind of give away everything, but what I will say is that It was a convent for nuns for a long time, and the nuns would do a lot of, like, community outreach to help the less fortunate. So, with that being said, they they had, like, a school in there for a while, and there was just a whole bunch of stuff that they had done, and then many, many fires had swept also across New Orleans, so it like, the ballroom had burnt down at one point, and then there was a situation with, like, some beams had broken and fallen, and then 2 young men got killed, basically. So now there's just all kinds of lore about the hotel being haunted and why it's haunted, and in fact, there to give you an example, there's a blood stain that reappears in the ballroom, and then the housekeepers go in and scrub it clean and it reappears,
Yeah.
and many, many people think it's due to actual real life tragedy that happened right on the grounds.
That's amazing. And I know another one of yours that is eventful is the Andrew Jackson. What about that?
Yeah, so I've heard so many stories about that place ever since I first went to New Orleans, and the first story that I actually remember was about this newlywed couple that came to the city, and they were sleeping in bed, and they had a disposable camera. And when they took the film to get developed, they realized that there was a photograph of them on the camera, but it was taken of them laying in bed and from the ceiling. And so I decided to stay there when I was doing, like, the cover shots and headshots for this new book. And so, of course, like, my photographer came down and we reserved 2 of the most haunted rooms, and I stayed in room 208. And while I was laying in bed, you could hear, I was with my fiance, and between us, you could hear what sounded like a man's voice say something along the lines of, "We're all dead." And it was so loud, like, there was another person in the room with us, and it was extremely unsettling at the time, but, that's what I live for at this point, so I was very excited too.
I I get it. Me too. So speaking of that, do you have any protection practices like because as we know, paranormal investigation or even staying in really haunted places can expose you to heavy energies and things. Do you have
Mhm.
a go-to method for shielding or clearing after a case or shielding during?
I mean, there's been times we've engaged in, like, sage cleansing and things like that, but, generally, like, in a hotel situation, not so much, but it just depends on the case, of course.
Okay. Okay, cool. You also you're known you're kind of merge science and spirit. You're known for like psychic compression tools like EVP and meters. Do you
Mhm.
balance that world in your work as well?
Yeah, yeah, I always try to, like, I guess, combine, like, research and mysticism as much as I can. Although, I think there's nothing wrong with people who rely solely on mysticism, because I think your body is the best tool you could ever use when going into an investigation, and just having those personal experiences means more to me than documenting or proving anything to anybody. So I
Yeah.
I love I love sometimes just going in and having the experience as well.
I do too. What I like if somebody else has the equipment because that's just nice confirmation. I talk about all the time.
Mhm,
We are the best ghost meter out there. We are the best
mhm.
everything along the way. But it isn't bad if there's somebody in the other room who's confirming that can't see what you're doing.
Right.
Also, you've done work because you were talking about the history there, connecting hauntings to history. Do you see the role of storytelling and preservation in paranormal research? Because I think you get that with your books.
Yeah, like, for, I don't know, the last 5 years, almost 6 years, we've been working to pump money basically into historic structures all across the United States and, frankly, the world, to try to preserve these structures for future generations. And
Mm.
one of the buildings that we're actually working on now is the historic Masonic Temple in Bay City. And it's not, unfortunately, it's not in New Orleans, but it's a really, really cool, spooky place where people can come and kind of stay for a few hours and investigate the building. And all of the funds go back into the building, and the goal right now is to try to make it handicap accessible. And then eventually their goal is to restore to its former grandeur.
Oh, that's beautiful. Are you Michigan based?
I sure am,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Speak just your personal philosophy. Do you see spirits as messengers, protectors, or just simply energy echoes, or just people
Mhm.
hanging out?
Well, I think it depends on the circumstances. I think more often than not, in a lot of circumstances, people that have maybe died with unfinished business do come back and are trying to possibly relay a message or something like that. I think family members, I believe strongly that they can protect you, after they pass. They're looking
Mhm.
out for you or preventing you from getting into bad situations. But I think it can also go the other way too, where you might have very negative, or I hate using the word necessarily evil, but wicked people. And then they pass and they bring that negativity back in the afterlife. And I think more often than that's what a lot of the negative demon like spirits are just people that were just extremely negative in real life.
I agree wholeheartedly. I always say I think demons get way too much credit. I think 90
Mhm.
something percent is just cranky ghosts. I've had
Yes,
cranky in life, cranky in death. Yeah,
for
that
sure.
is good. So I love that. And again, on paranormal investigation, we go to for filming for movie, go to all the dark places, but I think most ghosts are good. I do have experience it. Like you said,
Mhm.
ancestors and this and that. They're hanging out to help us.
Oh, for sure.
But since we again are getting into spooky season, what do you have an extra spooky experience that you like to talk about, or one that
Yeah.
even surprises you?
Yes. So, my first visit to the Bourbon, Orleans hotel, we stayed in room 644, which is the most haunted room at the property, and I was in the bathroom throwing my swimsuit on. My mom was already at the pool, and my dad was walking around New Orleans just having a good time. And so I thought I was alone in the room, but I shut the door because I've had situations where housekeepers just open the door and just come in the hotel. So I was just trying to avoid that uncomfortable situation in my youth. So the door is shut. I'm putting my swimsuit on. I hear something like somebody had come in the room. And so I'm like, sure enough, it's got to be a housekeeper. So I kind of wrapped a towel around myself and peeked out the door, and I didn't see anybody at all. Nobody kind of responded when I was like, "Hey, mom, dad." So nobody said anything. And then, I shut the door and continued dressing, and I heard what sounded like rapping on the door, but you could almost hear what sounded like long fingernails kinda, like, clacking against the door with each rap, and then I thought, like, "What is going on?" So I got down kind of on, like, my knees and peeked under the door, and I could see what looked like 2 shoes standing there and, like, a robe or like a tunic kind of overlapping the shoes, and that
Wow.
terrified me at the time. But then I later found out that, it had been a convent and there was a nun who had killed herself in that room, or so they say.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that
When
that was really, really freaky, but we just had so much stuff happen at that hotel. But there's nothing like being alone and being young and vulnerable and then having something like that happen. I mean, it
right.
just shakes your world.
That's wild. That is good. Is there places that you haven't been to yet that you really want to go?
Sorry, my cat popped in the,
Oh,
the
that's okay. Kitty, hello, Kitty. I have one running around here somewhere. Yeah.
Um, so places I haven't been yet that I still want to go. If we're talking New Orleans, I have yet to go to the Lowry Mansion. I would love to see that. Other than that, of course, there's a million and one places within the states. I mean, I would love to check out like a lot of the old Wild West ghost towns. I think those are really cool. But pretty much many, many places in the UK, like pretty much the entirety of the UK and Ireland, I have my heart set on going to because there's just so many good ghost stories there.
There is, and there are so many good ghosts. I've been
Yes.
fortunate enough to go a lot through Europe and
Mhm.
Ireland and Romania and places. It is different than here. And I must say, so are because I'm West Coast. I'm West Coast based. So before I started traveling east, we don't have anything old. In the east, there is things from the 15, 1600s. We don't have that. All we had was the old Western town. So we'd go to Virginia City, Nevada, or Vulture City in Arizona or Nevada City or Butte. So we just have those old west because that's the oldest things we have. But it is
Mhm.
a different caliber of ghosts almost. The rough and tumble guys who went there, and even the rough and tumble women who more adventurous. It's very different than the ghosts you might get in a New Orleans hotel. Not saying better or worse or anything. So
Mhm.
yeah, when you get to go to those other places, you will definitely experience it.
For sure.
Yeah. And again, and then you go further, you go east, you get to Europe, and they're from 1200 and beyond, and
Mhm.
ruins and things. So that is really good. So, do you have any advice for beginners? Somebody's going, okay, I would really like to do this paranormal thing or ghost hunting. They're new to the field. Do you have an advice for somebody starting out to do it respectfully, safely, or whatever?
Yes, there's definitely a couple things I would tell somebody just starting out, and that is, 1, definitely make sure that you're getting permission to go in places. I mean, we don't do anything without getting permission. Um, and it's just respectful not only to the building, but anybody else who's working there or staying there, things like that. Because you want to respect the property. It's not for me, I hold the property very in very high regard. And that should just be an expectation because we want to try to preserve these structures and make sure these structures stay very nice for generations to come. In addition to that, I would say keep your group very small. I've had my group for a very long time, at least 20 years probably at this point. I know it's been close now. But we've had large groups and small groups, so we've kind of fluctuated in size throughout the years. But I think just having a couple close-knit people in your group is the best thing to have because you can trust everybody and there's no drama and it's just a good time. And then I guess the third thing would be to expand your horizons. Like you and I have talked about, there's a big world out there and there's just so much to see. Don't confine yourself to just being an investigator just in your city. Like branch out, check out some of the haunts overseas, and do it with respect. Like maybe if you don't speak the language, maybe you can learn a couple of phrases or something like that. So when you're communicating with those spirits overseas, you're actually speaking the language that they speak. So you might have better chances that way.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And again, my number one thing is respect. Give
Mhm.
both respect for the property, respect for the spirits. Nobody wants to be disrespected, dead or living or anywhere in the middle.
Right.
And yes, about permission, because I would be more afraid of the living human than the spirits. And so many, all of a sudden, you're caught trespassing and going from there. And I have butchered some of the finest languages, like in France. It's like, okay, so I like that idea of just learning at least hello, welcome, and your name in the
Mhm.
language that the spirits speak because they don't all speak English. People go in
Right.
there and they think they're no, they don't. What do you think of? Because this is such a hit or miss or a love or hate. Ouija boards and spirit boards.
Oh, I know that's a loaded question.
It
Well,
is.
the thing is in my personal opinion, I don't know if you follow Becky and Galentine, but I'm very much with her and that I personally love them. And I think that they are just another tool like K2 meter or any other meter that we use to communicate with spirits. So it's just another way, but I think that there has to be a way that you open the session and close the session to do so safely. But at the end of the day, like I just think of it as another tool. But I know many people feel passionately that it's not a good thing to use and it's not safe. So
Yeah.
I would love to know what you think about that,
I'm
Patty.
I'm exactly what you think. I have used them safely since I was 7 or 8 years old. Look at even my little mouse holder. It's like,
That's cute.
um, uh, I've used them safely. I don't think they probably shouldn't be sold in toy stores, and they should have a completely opposite set of directions. Not this is not a toy, but I think they're the same. This toy,
Mhm.
I don't take responsibility, but Hollywood is what made them negative and bad because
Mhm.
the movies and the TV and everything. But it's just a tool. And so many people are afraid of the Ouija or spirit board, but then they'll use a pendulum or tarot cards or dowsing rods. Same
Yeah.
thing. It's just a tool, a communication tool. So I like that because it is still so many people are you'll go on an investigation and these kind of places like you do it, but no Ouija boards allowed. Okay, you could bring in a medium and you could bring in this and you could have all this
Mhm.
equipment and the spirit boxes, but not a little board of, okay.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. That's how I feel too.
Yeah. So what are some of your other books? Where are the other places you've been?
So my first book was Haunted Bay City, Michigan. That is my hometown. That's where I don't live there now, but I currently live very close to Bay City, so you might as well call it Bay City. Haunted Detroit was my second book. I spent about 5 years investigating on the weekends in Detroit and learned a lot of great stories. Haunted Bars and Pubs of Michigan was actually inspired by a trip I took overseas. I went to the Red Lion in Avebury, Wiltshire, United Kingdom, and it was just a very cool place. And so I wondered, how many haunted bars do we have back home? And so I kind of did that research. And then obviously New Orleans, Haunted French Quarter Hotels. That is my fourth book. And then my fifth book, which is coming out next year, will be Haunted Mid Michigan, which features a lot of smaller cities and towns like in the mid Michigan area.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And then one day we'll get you out west for all those cowboy towns.
Oh,
They
that would be
really,
so fun.
because
That would be
it's
a blast.
it's beautiful. You've got great pictures, you've got great stories, you have all sorts of things that go into it. So have you started working on your next book already? Have you?
It is 1.5 chapters from being done, so I am so happy. I really so the funniest thing of all is that I sent in the proposal for this book. And they kept telling me, everybody at the publisher was telling me I was not going to get it, that I was too far away, et cetera, et cetera. So I sent in another proposal thinking, well, if this one doesn't go through, I'll have a backup plan. And they both got accepted. So
Yeah.
I have been very overwhelmed, but you know what? We're coming to the end of the other book, and I could not be prouder of this one. I'm very happy with it. So I am thankful for the opportunities I've been given and for being here with you.
That is cool. So once you're in a book, okay, we're doing the French Quarter, we're doing whatever. Do you go over and over again to these other places and write the book as you go, or do you gather the information and then try
Mhm,
to remember it and write it all down? As an author, that I haven't figured out what I'm doing yet, so it's
mhm.
it's like, okay,
So I am somebody who actually tries to go to each location. And if for whatever reason I cannot make it to a location, I will have a Zoom call with someone who works there. I will call someone on the phone, have a text exchange, whatever it may be. But I try to connect personally to each location that I write about because for me, it just makes the experience more immersive, and
mhm,
if I can have that immersive experience as a writer, then I feel the reader will have that as well.
that is that is good. So if you include, because then I like happy ghosts. I like to hang out
Mhm,
like at Hollywood Roosevelt or the Biltmore. Where yes, there's the dark stories, but ghosts
mhm.
as a rule are hanging from the chandeliers because they had the best days of their life. Have you found a place yet that ghosts seem extra just happy, joyous?
Yeah. There's a little store right here in Bay City, Michigan called Tummy Ache Candy Store, and the ghosts there are extremely happy. I believe I called the chapter, it's been a minute, but like spirit guides and positive vibes or something, just because like there's been an overwhelmingly good energy that comes from that place, and like prankster ghosts. So the owner was going to the bathroom, and the spirit had opened the door on her and exposed her to all of her customers. So it's just kind of like one of those situations where it's more of a humorous situation.
I love
But
that.
yeah, so I'd say that's probably, from my knowledge, one of the happiest ones. But also, we have Coonan's Irish Hub, which is on the cover of the Haunted Bars and Pubs book. And there's the original owner who still haunts the bar. And he's got a really good energy too from everybody that's kind of encountered him. So, gotta love those stories because they feel like they're kind of rare, in our field.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it too. And you think bars and pubs? Yes, you're gonna have a
Mhm.
fun place to go. All right. Well, uh,
My
It's so,
cat's wailing. I'm so sorry.
it's so cute. Hi, kitty, kitty.
He's really, really old. So,
Oh, he is cute. And what's your kitty's name?
that's Robin. He's gonna be 17 this year, and he has this, like, old man wail. So anyways.
So, doing what you do, have you gotten any ghosts to follow you home or at your home?
Yes, I have actually. I was fortunate enough to go to Poland last November, and we stayed at the AC Marriott in Krakow. Now, while we were out and about, we picked up some artifacts that were from like an antique market. And while I was at the market, I picked up a prop from the movie Schindler's List.
Wow.
And so it was just a movie I had always watched with my grandparents. And so I took the prop back to our hotel room. Well, it had the Star of David on the bottom of it. Well, when we went back to the hotel room, we had all of this stuff happen. Like, it was really creepy stuff too. I mean, we'd be laying in bed and we'd hear like the shower turn on and like somebody was in the bathroom actually using it. I felt like I was being tickled and it was coming from the side of the mattress that I was laying on. Um, the balcony doors would open, the lights would go on and off at different intervals. I mean, it was just very unsettling stuff and it got to be really scary. I took this, I couldn't wait to get out of the hotel room. I brought the stuff back home and began having a series of like night terrors,
Mm.
always centered around, you know, I guess the office, which is where these props had been stored. Once I took the props out of the house, the activity ceased. But then when I brought them back in just recently, the activity started up again. So I've been having the night terrors again. But yeah, it's been truly horrifying.
Right.
Well, come to find out, the hotel actually was the land was used for Nazi housing before it was a hotel. So I guess that explains why so much activity with bringing the Star of David in.
Wow. Yes. Yes. And I do think that makes a difference. There's especially a spirituality or religion difference. I'm into haunted dolls. I have a book on haunted dolls. The Peggy the doll is a doll in Zach Bagans' museum. And like for safety and for protection, they have a rosary on her. They have a cross on her.
Mhm,
I think she hates it. I think she's Jewish. I don't.
mhm.
Nobody wants to listen to me. I don't think so. But it's just like I it's that makes a big difference. So I get what you would get that. So whether the Jewish sympathizer, the Nazis, wow, that's wild. So
Yeah, that I mean, we were not expecting that, to be honest with you. I mean, we walk in, this is a beautiful hotel, it's just very modern. I mean, you would never think, that was what, like, the land had been used for prior, but I guess it makes sense, but it just we I wasn't expecting anything to happen. It was the most haunted hotel I'd ever actually stayed in, I think.
wow, that is
Mhm.
cool. That is cool. So you're going to keep a bit of a hotel and pub theme for other places coming up, or do you want to rent to? Do you think there's a difference? Like, say,
Mhm.
hotels, we know they're transient, people in and out, as
Yeah.
compared to a mansion, like you mentioned the mansion in New Orleans with the big history, or
Mhm.
the single houses or things. Do you think that energy is different in these places?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's places that have more energy than others. For example, like I think hotels harbor a lot more energy because, as you said, so many people have passed in and out through the years. There's been a number of people who have either been murdered or they've killed themselves or whatever it may be in those hotel rooms. And then that I believe in a lot of circumstances that energy kind of lingers behind, which is the case with many of the hotels I wrote about in New Orleans. And then, of course, you have other people coming in and either breaking the cycle or continuing that cycle, So that, I mean, over the course of time, I mean, geez, that builds up, all that energy.
Okay. I agree wholeheartedly. Okay. So, well, before we go, if people are intrigued, tell them, do you have any events coming up or anything that people could go to, where they can find you both online, where they can find your books?
Most definitely. So, I guess I should say next month I got my book launch happening at the Haunted Hotel in the French Quarter in New Orleans. It's gonna be at 623 Ursulines Avenue. It's on October 4th from 5 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on there. Of course, you're going to get to meet me and get a signed book. We're going to have psychic readings, photo ops, refreshments. We're doing a very fun raffle. And that's basically going to include tickets to museums all across New Orleans, vendors that have donated their art, and people can also have a chance to win riverboat tickets. So it's going to be just a very, very fun time. And the best thing of all is that it's free of charge. So anybody can come, bring everybody.
And that's
um,
just next week from when this airs. That's just next week. So that's
yeah.
fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great time. And then in addition to that, on October 18th, for those people that are listening that are closer to Michigan, I have a ghost hunt happening at the historic Masonic Temple in Bay City, and tickets are on sale now. You can buy them at hmtbc.org, and all of the proceeds go back into restoration for that beautiful building. And it's always a really fun time. It's a 4.5 hour event. So it
Wow.
starts with the ghost tour and then ends with a ghost hunt. So it's going to be so much fun. Get your tickets. We're going to have a blast.
Oh, I love it. So where can people find you online and follow you and stuff like that?
Sure. So I am on Facebook, TikTok, which I don't use that much, but I'm getting better, and Instagram. And you can find me at author Nicole Beauchamp.
Okay, thank you guys. Like her, follow her, check out these beautiful books. I'm going to take it with me to my next trip. I'm always in New Orleans for Halloween. So I'm going to take this as my guidebook. Ah.
Oh, well, thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah, Nicole, we're adding a new segment called Ask Patti. So, because we've always happens, we record and then I talking to my guests and the authors and things, and we have all these questions. So, might as well do it while we're recording. So, you have any questions for me? Ask Patti.
I do. I actually have two questions for you. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what hotels have you stayed at when you've been to New Orleans, and what kind of experiences have you had, if any?
Okay, I am very funny because when I stay at hotels, when I'm there doing other things, I have this world's hugest on off switch. Ghosts could be having a party around me, and I'm like, I'm sleeping now because I have a vampire ball in 3 hours, and I've got to do a seance at midnight, and I've got to do whatever, whatever. But there is a hotel I like that seemed happily active. It's called Les Galeries, and
Mhm.
it's right in the French Quarter, right down the street from House of Blues, which we take over for 5 days. House of Blues is beautifully haunted itself, though not a hotel. It
Mhm.
would go into the bars and restaurants thing, and then with all their rooms upstairs and the foundation rooms and stuff. I've had some really interesting magical things and seances and stuff. And I'm blanking out on the name, but I'm so bad with names. Not in New Orleans, but the city next to New Orleans.
Is it
Down,
Gretna or Metairie?
no, a bigger name.
Slidell?
No, bigger name. Anyway, there's an amazing hotel. I filmed there with the Ghost Finders. And again, we got so much on every floor. It's an old hotel. I shouldn't even brought it up since I can't remember the name of the city or the name of the hotel, but you guys should go there.
That's so funny.
It's on my Paraflix network with the Ghost Finders, but it was crazy active. And we went up on the roof and they got the river going right by. And the river, to me, water is such a conduit. So that's what you have in the middle of the French Quarter as well.
Mhm.
You know, the river going right through it, and it is so charged and so powerful. It's just a conduit. So,
Definitely.
and again, the darkest hotel I've ever been, and I certainly haven't stayed there, is the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, right where I live. To me, it is the darkest place I've ever been. More tragedy, stuck ghost, something bigger than all the ghosts holding it down. I would like to gather just 1,000 people and do a big hold hands and cleansing. Every shaman, priest,
Mhm.
rabbi, Native American voodoo priest, ever, because it's dark.
Yeah, that place is extremely creepy. I mean, I've just driven like by it. I haven't been in it, but yes, I would agree with you. It's got
It
a
it
weird
makes
energy.
makes you want to kill yourself within a half a block. It just hopelessness. Yeah. So someday maybe we'll get to clean that. I don't know, but that's it. So all right, that was a good question. Do you have another one?
I sure do. So you are in just like this very successful, beautiful figure within a very male dominated industry. And I would just love to know if you have any advice for anybody who has like dreams and aspirations that would like to maybe be at the level of success that you have. Like, how did you get to your level of success, I guess?
Okay. Well, I actually came into it kicking and screaming because I've always been this person and a medium person and working in the paranormal and my witchcraft and everything. But I kept it very private because I went from being an actor and dancer to a producer and I ran a production company. And I'm like, these people just cannot know that I dance around bonfires and talk to dead people. I kept it really secret until about 2008 and that big corporate crash. I created produced corporate shows, and at the same time reality television was going up and somebody asked me to do a show and I'm like, no, no, no. I finally gave in because I didn't have anything else, and it was the most fulfilling, close to my heart thing I had ever done. I got to help a little girl who everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing portals on the ceiling. And I'm like, no, there are portals. I got to help a spirit cross over. I got to slightly open the mind of the Southern Bible Belt cast and crew that this isn't dark and this isn't evil. But I'm like, but never again, never again. When it aired 2 months later, sadly or goodly, my first phone call was from my biggest corporate client. They're like, hi, Patty. Hi. I saw you on television last night. Oh, yes. I didn't know you were into the paranormal. And I'm thinking, I've crashed and burned. I'll never work for this like Fortune 500. And then she goes, I love the paranormal, and proceeded to tell me her first ghost story. I'm like, what? I'm out of the psychic medium closet. I'm out of the paranormal closet. I'm out of the broom closet, and haven't looked back. And again, living, being, working in both sides of the camera in the middle of Hollywood, I just kind of became the person to call whatever they needed for all shows to shows paranormal and not. But yes, it is male dominated. But I'm really good with guy. I just always have been. I'm married to a drummer. My husband and I used to produce a Hollywood drum show. It'd be 1,000 guys in a room for the weekend and 4 women. It's just good old boys. Paranormal guys are just like that. They look the same. There's your t-shirts, there's your jeans. Maybe they're black jeans versus the blue jeans. So that's just like all my years with Ghost Adventures, almost the whole crew, everybody. It's Zach and Aaron and Jay and Billy, and here I am. And it's good. I've been basically done 2 episodes a year for the last 10 years on that show, which is again good for a very boy centric, boy oriented show. So you
Well,
got
it's
to go
very
be a stronger.
inspirational.
Yeah, thank you. I thank you. Just keep going for it. That's what I tell everybody. Just jump in, and you can
Well,
do
I
anything you believe you can do. So thank you. Thank you. Great questions. Thank you for being the first in my new segment. Anyway, any last words for anybody as you go off with words of Nicole wisdom for my audience?
Well, if you enjoy spooky events and no matter what your budget is, if you give me a follow, like I probably have something for you because I run a traveling haunted museum. I set up at different libraries all over the state, and those events are free to the public. All you have to do most of the time is just register for them. In addition to that, I set up all sorts of different events. I mean, I've had events at wineries where we basically got drunk and did like ghostly trivia, and we just do all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're into paranormal events and just having a really good time and connecting, then definitely follow me on social media and I will show you a great time.
I'm going to sign up. So thank you so much. I'll see everybody out there. See you at one of these beautiful events. Thank you so much, Nicole. Have a beautiful rest of the day.
Thank you, you too.